Football is officially in the air. While it might be preseason, still tonight, Thursday, July the 31st, toe will meet leather in some capacity. There's football on our TVs. And that, my friends, is a reason to celebrate. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. He's Cole Thompson. Welcome back to the Overtime Drive. This is SEC Unfiltered's college football show, the best college football show and SEC football show on the internet. As always, guys, we got a jam-packed show for you. Before we get rolling, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast where we get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And as always, we're powered by our friends over at FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today to get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/SECU to get $250 in bonus bets today. This is the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered's SEC football show, the best SEC football show on the internet. We have got a jam-packed slate for you tonight. We're talking most underrated and overrated teams heading into kickoff. How about some fall camp tidbits? Like we said, football's officially back. Teams all across the SEC are hitting the practice field. We got some other news and notes we're going to dive into as well. Like I mentioned, as always, I'm Chris Phillips. Joining me once again, my partner in crime, my friend Cole Thompson, a.k.a. The Bear, back on the airwaves with yours truly. Bear, what's going on, man? Appreciate you taking the time. Excited to chat with you. I know we were talking a little bit off air. I know it's the preseason, but at least we got some football on TV tonight, man. What's going on?
Well, I have breaking news for you, Chris, and I have breaking news for all of the audience here. I hate your team. That we're just gonna say that right now. I hate everything about your team. You're gonna be disastrous this year. I say that you're overrated. That means that you're a piece of garbage. I say you're underrated. I'm not showing you enough respect. So just remember, equally, condescendingly, together, we all are in harmony. The Bear hates your football program in 2025. I hate every single one of them. Doesn't matter how I'm pulling this year. Doesn't matter who I think is going to win the national title this year. I hate all of you. Because that's what we're going to see with people in the comment section probably later on tonight.
Bear, get me fired up for this preseason game. Get me fired up from a standpoint. Our friends over at FanDuel, shout out to them. I promised myself I would never be this level of sicko, but I just
be that level of sicko.
I have this urge if I'm gonna, because I'm probably gonna step out tonight, go watch the games. Again, it's just an excuse to get out of the house, go hang out with buddies, maybe go grab some wings or a burger or pizza, whatever it is. Like, do what we love to do, which is sit around, watch football, talk football, and bet on football. Bear, we got the preseason game tonight with FanDuel. Lions are -1.5. The over-under is 33.5. Again, it's Lions and Chargers. I mean, do you have any – I don't even know how you bet on preseason. I don't think there really is a rhyme or reason. But you got – I mean, you're the NFL guy, so I'm leaning on you here.
So in 2021, when he was drafted, I believed that Trey Lance was going to live up to all the expectations about being a starting quarterback in the NFL. And he is starting tonight. And technically, this is a preseason game, but it is an NFL game. So your boy is going to be right that he is starting in the NFL. Go ahead and bet the over on Trey Lance's passing total. I'm also going to take the over on his touchdown total. I think it's at 1.5. That's how you go ahead and you make a bet. A guy that was fizzled and fumbled and thrown to the wayside comes back in and delivers a performance of a lifetime in a game that usually doesn't matter because if it's even worse than the preseason game, it's the Hall of Fame game. It's on a terrible level of grass. Everybody knows that you can get hurt in this matchup, but I'm going to go ahead and say that this is the moment where Trey Lance lives up to expectation. Only took 6 seasons, 3 teams in a preseason Hall of Fame game that you didn't even know you were playing in until probably middle of February. But that's what we're betting on tonight. I'm finally going to be right on this one. I'm not going to be wrong. That's what I'm holding out hope
Hammer
for.
it. That's what Bear says. So this is how little NFL I know. So Trey Lance is on the Lions?
No, he is on the Chargers.
See, I don't even know. I like that. Dude, I don't even know. Like, okay, so you heard the Bear. We're hammering the Chargers tonight.
Hammering the Chargers at plus 1.5.
Plus 1.5 in a Hall of Fame game.
A game that literally nobody cares about besides the fans.
Just make sure you bet responsibly. That's all we're saying. Bear, again, we got a lot to get into. Pack show. Football's back. We started seeing the clips Wednesday afternoon. We had coaches speak, right? But we saw clips of teams actually on the field. Saw clips from Bama. Saw clips from Auburn. LSU. We got tons to discuss. I know Georgia today is hitting the practice field.
Overreactions out the wazoo, Chris Phillips.
Overreactions already. We're going to get into all those. Maybe give some of our own overreactions. But, Bear, I want to start with this because as we end the month of July and we turn our attention to the month of August, we're really turning the page to – we all know what happens in the month of August. There's football in August, Bear. There's kickoff in the month of August. This is always a fun conversation this time of year, Bear. Most overrated and underrated SEC football teams entering the season. And I want to have an open-ended conversation with you because I think there's a lot of directions you can go here. What's so fascinating about this season, Bear, is that, there's a couple things. Number one, we just don't have that clear-cut, head and shoulders above the rest, dominant team. I think we talked about this last year. I think it's the case yet again. I think it's a storyline going in. What that means is there are a lot of teams. It's not just the middle of the pack, I feel like. There's a lot of teams that you can make this overrated or underrated case for because, there's going to be your favorites, obviously. And I think you and I have even talked about the tiers and the top tier of who the college football playoff favorites are from the conference, who's kind of that next tier. I just think there's so much volatility in the conference this year. There's so many different directions you can go. There's so many cases you can make for so many different teams. I mean, heck, we asked the question to you guys, who's overrated, underrated. Some people are throwing out some of the top teams in the conference, or at least teams we think are going to be the top teams in the conference. So no one is safe from this conversation. It is a fascinating combo with the amount of quality teams we have in the conference this year.
I'm sorry, but if you're gonna put Georgia in the overrated perspective, I don't know what to tell you. Pray to Jesus. Go ahead and ask your college football god to send you to somewhere else on Saturdays because you have no idea what you're talking about. And that's not to say that Georgia's not overrated because of Georgia this season, they have their questions, but you're really gonna doubt Kirby Smart is more so where my brain goes to. You're gonna doubt that a 10-2 season is not on the horizon. They're gonna be in the hunt for the college football playoff. That's where I kind of am are you saying national championship team? Or are you saying that, just overrated in general because of the way that their roster is constructed? Georgia did a good job of replenishing on the back end. I just want to see them have that ferocious fight in the middle of the trenches on both sides of the ball. I think that we will. But, I'm not worried about Gunnar Stockton or anything. Part of the best quarterbacks that we've ever seen come through Athens were game-managing passers and not these high-profile, can't miss mobile dudes who are able to make defenders jump in the back of the line and they take their ankles and their soles with them. That's not what I'm expecting with Georgia. There are some teams, though, I think that you have to wonder, what are your expectations and then what follows in for the overrated, underrated? Perfect example for me, I think at this point, we're getting closer and closer. I think that South Carolina is one of these teams that fits in that perfect category. For me personally, I think that they can be a 9-3 team. I think that they could be a team that goes on a hunt for the college football playoff, but I'm not viewing them as a national championship roster. I'm not. And that may be facetious, and I may have to come back and eat crow, and I'll have all the South Carolina fans say, you doubted us. I'm not doubting that you're going to hold your own this year. You lost so much defensively. You lost a ton of offensive personnel members. And I still believe that because of who you have at quarterback, you're going to be in every single game. And you're going to show people that the culture and the identity underneath Shane Beamer, well, you know what? That's a 9-3 season. You're going to get an upset win. It may be against Bama. It may be on the road in Death Valley. It may be against Clemson, and that be Clemson's only loss in the season. But I also think that there are some questions that we have going into the year, and this is where it comes from a national perspective and a fan perspective. From the national perspective, I think you and me and most people would all say 9-3 out in Columbia this year, really solid season for how much they lost on the defensive side, for what they have with the question marks of the running back room, because you don't know where Rasul Faison is at the time of this recording. You still have to wonder what that tight end room is going to look like and who's going to be your breakout wide receiver. But we're saying 9-3. That again, it's 3 years of 8+ wins for Shane Beamer in 5 seasons. That's changing culture. But then the fan perspective comes in, and the fan perspective says, we're going to be 10-2. We're going to be 11-1. Lenore Sellers winning the Heisman Trophy. We're going to Atlanta. We're getting a first-round bye. And it's like, guys, let's pump the brakes and remember everything I just said. You lost all this talent defensively, which was the backbone of your team. And some of these games, you had the blessing of playing in your backyard. Now you got to go travel to their backyard. Death Valley on a Saturday night with the sun sets in the western sky. Guys, that is a tough matchup for anybody. Doesn't matter how much talent they have. That's tough for anybody. So those are some things that when you look at the overrated, underrated perspective, like for me, I think that we perfectly rate South Carolina in the media perspective and those that talk about the sport. I think from a fan perspective, we are certainly overrating South Carolina as this team that can easily punch its ticket to the playoff and go on an epic run and find their way down to Miami. Like this.
I think when you define the two, I want to start with, let's start on what some would say the positive note here. We'll start with the teams that kind of fit more of that underrated bill. It's a less fun conversation for those fan bases that you slap the overrated tag on. So we'll start with the underrated. But I mean, you think about just the literal definition of these words. Underrated, who's a team not many are expecting much from, whether it be media, be fans, like you said, and we think there's an opportunity they may do more than the ceiling that's been placed upon them. Overrated, obviously the very opposite, who's catching a lot of love in the preseason that we're like, might be overdoing it a little bit, might not meet these lofty expectations. So when you look at the league, Bear, and, without saying everyone, because like I said, you really could make a case for a lot of teams for both these categories. I will say I want to start first. When you talk underrated teams, Georgia does feel like they fit this bill a little bit.
Really?
Like to me, Bear, here's something we haven't talked about. I haven't seen many people mention this outside of some Georgia folks. And I know, listen, Georgia fans, and I've talked to them, and I say this with love because, again, I said it on a Georgia show literally last night. Georgia fans, more than normal this offseason, are like horny for disrespect. Like they just are. And I think what it is, Georgia's been that bombshell at the bar for so long. They got all the attention. And then Texas walked in. And they're like the other hot girl, the new hot girl, right? Maybe she's a little bit younger, right? And she's starting to take some of the attention away. And I think Georgia people kind of feel that. Like, wait a minute. We beat this girl in the pageant twice last year. Like, why are you giving her all the flowers and the accolades? Which, fair point. But it doesn't feel like it seems like it's a foregone conclusion that it's Texas this season. They're going to have the breakout year. I mean, I've spent a lot of time hyping up Alabama. We spent a ton of time hyping up LSU, what they've got returning and what they added. Georgia is just kind of, I don't like, am I crazy for saying they're flying under the radar? And you think about this. This is the point I was going to make. This is the best roster technically Kirby's ever had. They've never had a better blue chip ratio on their roster than they have this season. Like, that's kind of wild when you think about the teams they've had.
Yeah.
This is technically per, whatever you take away with star ratings, but
you look at composite rankings.
Per the composite. But you look at their roster, it doesn't have the name power. It doesn't have the household names, right? Tons of talent in the receiver room. Who's going to be that guy? What's the running back room? How good is Bo Walker? How good can Nate Frazier really be? Will the offensive line return to being a Georgia offensive line? And then defensively, even if you don't know the guys, they're all tomorrow's NFL draft picks. So, I think Georgia, I won't be surprised if we get halfway or three-quarters of the way through the season. We should have been talking about the dogs more. I don't feel like they're catching as much of the preseason conversation. I think you could throw slightly I'm not seeing a lot of people even talking about them from a national perspective, they can win a national championship. I know it all comes down to the quarterback position and Gunnar Stockton, but Bear, they had bad quarterback play last year and won the SEC.
But they had a name. That was the difference.
They did. Yeah, and they did. Yeah, because, dude, I ranked Carson Beck number 1 going into the season last year, and he obviously didn't play anywhere near that level. And they couldn't run the ball. And, again, they still somehow got to 10 wins, won the SEC. So, I don't know. When you factor in how talented they are, and I don't know that we're talking about it enough, maybe it's a little bit aggressive, but I think you could throw an underrated tag on Georgia.
Underrated from the national perspective. This is one to where I think that we can kind of go back to fan versus media perspective. Yeah, I would agree in the terms of we are seeing more people turn to Texas and LSU and Alabama. And then it's Georgia, you're going to go to the playoff, but you're going to be a 10-2, and we're not talking about you going to Atlanta this year. There's a lot of questions because of its unknown talent. You talked about this. It's a blue chip prospect from the composite rankings. Best roster Kirby Smart has ever fielded. But there are a lot of unknowns with this roster. New guys that are coming on in to start, guys that you brought in via the portal that you're hoping can hit their stride at the right time. So, yeah, in that sense, I would say it's underrated for sure. but I'm never doubting Kirby Smart. And like, maybe this is just me and the way that my brain works from watching what he has done since 2017 when they nearly beat Alabama and what they've ever done since, where it feels like constantly they are the representative for the SEC East or in the SEC in general for going to the conference championship, making the playoff, and they become the standard of college football. I'm not doubting them to be a playoff team, but from a national perspective, yeah, I think that by the time that we get to, let's go the Alabama game, and they win that matchup against Kalen DeBoer in Sanford, and the winning streak continues. If they win by double digits with this roster, and they put belt to ass against the Crimson Tide, you will see people go, I did not expect this from Georgia. Like I knew that they were going to be a good team, but I don't think that I knew they were going to be this team. They were going to be putting together these type of plays. They were going to have X receiver step on up or a new offensive lineman come on in and look like the All-American. And then we go back to, well, it's Georgia. We expect those things. But even the fan base is like, Bo Walker is well ahead of schedule. Zachariah Branch, I don't know how much we paid in the NIL collected to get him. Give him an extra $500,000. How we feel about Ella Meduzzi coming on in from Army. One offseason with Glenn Schumann was enough to turn him into a first-round pick. Like, that's where it's like, I'm not going to be shocked to see that. But I understand that right now going into the year, we're not talking enough about that. So from that standpoint, yeah, it's underrated. But from the media perspective of very underrated, from my opinion, Chris, they may have 21 new pieces in the portal, but Missouri's gotten back-to-back 10-win seasons. They have a coach that is the most unapologetic, authentic version of himself. He basically is the SEC's Ted Lasso with a little bit of Gen Z version of Steve Spurrier kind of thrown in. And their schedule is so manageable. And to me, that's where the conversation starts.
Mizzou is perpetually underrated, Bear.
They're going to be
they are the most forgotten. They are the most forgotten, overlooked SEC program.
Far and away.
Truly.
And they're going to be that way.
And I was going to ask you, how much of a factor does the schedule play into like the feeling that they're underrated?
I think it's incredible.
Like you probably, I mean, dude, like how we talk about like you saying they're underrated. How underwhelming, like they won 10 games last year and you would have like never known it. I mean, they went 9-3 in the regular season and they weren't even remotely close to the playoff condo. They weren't even close.
No, that's where I was going to go. Like, look at the three teams that finished 9-3. 12th, 13th, 15th in the AP poll, 13th, 14th, 15th in the college football playoff rankings. And here's Mizzou, same record.
Or they're like 25th or something like that? Yeah.
24. Like, and then you watch Alabama lose to a Big Ten team, and you watch South Carolina lose to a Big Ten team, and you watch as Mizzou beats a top 10, a Big Ten team, and they get to 10 wins, and everyone's like, yeah, but it's Missouri. Who gives a crap? Like that's honestly what the conversation was in that game. But like, I like their roster too.
This is a side note. Would you put playoff as ceiling for them this year? Is that attainable? Is 10 wins attainable?
Okay. So this is, again, the thing that I said last season about Auburn and why partially I'm not going to get burned by Auburn going into this year, even though they're going to be mentioned in the underrated category in a second. Auburn last season had a brand new quarterback, a ton of new weapons, a lot of freshmen that they were asking a ton of to step on up. And I thought that was a recipe for disaster. But then you look at their schedule, 5 straight home games at Jordan-Hare to kind of get the ball rolling. That's what you want. They don't leave Como until October 18th when they have to travel down to Jordan-Hare. That's 6 games. And I would say 5 are easily winnable. And the 6th one, depending on what version of Alabama comes to town, that might end up being a game that we talk about as pretty platform television moment that you guys sit down and watch all 4 quarters of. So like you're breaking in every new piece of this offensive personnel with a quarterback and a couple of wide receivers and some new defensive pieces. The blessing in disguise is, guys, we don't have to travel. We don't have to worry about sleep schedules. We don't have to worry about ramping up practice certain days. We're here. It's always on Saturday. We're locked in. Like, repetition is going to be our best friend out in Como for the first start of the season. And to me, that's a massive win for Eli Drinkwitz. That's a massive win for any program that is implementing a brand new personnel and a lot of new pieces to get acclimated and comfortable. because you don't have to worry about the crowd atmosphere. You don't have to worry about what is going to be the stakes of facing against a team on the road. It's all about just you doing what's best for you. You know the field, you know the environment, you know your schedule, you know what happens on game day. That to me is a massive win in Missouri's favor. And I do think that their roster has some really, really, really good pieces that are all going to be competing for an all SEC title. Like Kevin Coleman, we're not talking enough about him. I don't think that we're talking enough about Zion Young. I don't think that we're talking enough about Ahmad Hardy. I don't think that we're talking enough about the freshman that they just added in who had the one-handed catch. Oh my God. Like if that's what we're going to see from Sam Horn or from Bo Babula, God bless anybody who has to win those one-on-one coverages. Like that to me, again, you're never going to hear Eli Drinkwitz say that he doesn't think he's underrated, but he knows deep down inside. It's annoying as hell that every year, here's Missouri sitting outside the top 25 or sitting outside at least the top 15.
Well, and I think what happens, too, people get jaded, right? So, like, Mizzou was supposed to be this playoff darling last year, and they fell short of that. And so people aren't going to give them, because they're jaded, they're not going to give them maybe the credit they deserve in the next year or the following whatever, which is why I think you could throw Ole Miss in this category.
Yes.
Bear. I know the defensive questions, although it's funny, I talked with them, and we got a conversation dropping. It dropped today with Brad Logan of the Logan Media Network previewing the Ole Miss season. He apparently said Pete Golding said he likes this defensive personnel as much as last year's. That might be a bit of a stretch, honestly, especially on the defensive front. They got so many new pieces, but I mean, I think they feel like, again, with their schedule, and I think what they're going to be offensively, that it's really workable. And I'm not saying Ole Miss is going to the playoff, and you got to be wary, Bear, of the conversations you have. And this isn't like I'm not saying this about Brad or anything, but like you'll talk to people that cover teams, and everybody's going to the playoff this time of year. So you got to be a little bit careful. But yeah, I mean, Ole Miss just isn't really getting any chatter at all. And I think Austin Simmons could be I think we could be end of season re-ranking the quarterbacks. And it's like, yeah, he was a top 3 or 4 dude in the league. And he's going to put up numbers under Lane Kiffin. They added some big time guys at wide receiver, the Penn State transfer and the Oklahoma State transfer. So, I mean, yeah, and then obviously Caden Lee back. Like they got some weapons. So, a healthy Logan Diggs finally at running back. So, a lot to replace. Obviously, a lot of questions. But again, it's kind of like Mizzou. It's like there's questions, but it is a workable schedule yet again. Like early on in the season, if you can trip up LSU on your home field, all of a sudden you kind of. I think they'll catch eyeballs for sure, but. They're one of those teams. I think you could throw it's you know what it is? It's weird though, Bear, because nobody's really talking about Ole Miss as like they don't lead off the conversation when we're talking about college football playoff dark horses, but all the media is picking them to finish like 7th. It's like or 7th or 8th or something, like pretty close to like that line of being on the edge of being a playoff contender. And I think a lot of it just comes from like being jaded from last year. It's like if they didn't go to the playoff last year, like how are they going to make it this year? But you and I have talked about the irony that would be and that could occur.
It's the most Lane Kiffin thing to ever happen.
It would be like the most ironic thing of all time if this last dance team missed the playoff, but it's this team that ends up somehow, some way getting a 10 win. So it's kind of like a Mizzou situation, though. The schedule's really favorable, and I mean they're going to have a pretty solid team, and you're going to have a good quarterback that should give you a chance. And I mean, I think if they can play a lick of defense, yeah, they're going to beat somebody. Like whether it's LSU or somebody else down, I don't think they probably go into Athens and win, to be honest. But Ole Miss, I think, is going to be one of those teams that we're like, yeah, they were a little bit better than I think we were giving them credit for.
Let me ask you: did you do the preseason all SEC team rankings for SEC Media Days?
I filled out a ballot. Yes.
Okay. Who did you put it? Who are your 3 quarterbacks?
I had Nussmeier, I had Sellers, and I had, I think, Arch Manning.
Okay, so I had Nussmeier 1, I had Sellers 2. I put Austin Simmons at 3.
I like it.
He's
going to put up numbers, dude. I mean.
You're okay, so we go back to that game against Georgia last season. The confidence, the poise, the unafraid attitude to uncork one across the middle of the field with this defense, the reliability of trusting Caden Lee to make some big-time plays, his willingness to stay in the pocket for just a quick cup of coffee shows me that he has all the intangibles that you want as a quarterback. There's something about a homeschool kid that doesn't get to be around people that sometimes makes you maybe a little bit weary because their social skills aren't there. You talk to people, it's like he is the most aggressively kind person, but also very attentive to detail when it comes to practices. He is everything that you want in a quarterback, everything you want in a leader, and he's a great locker room fit for us. He fits everything that we could ask for as a replacement for what we have at Jackson Dart. So I'm getting a guy that, number one, has shown you against one of the best defensive minds in college football, I can hold my own. Even for just one drive, and we're making a big deal about one drive, he still showed it. Number two, he's no longer playing baseball. He focused in this entire offseason about being the starting quarterback for Ole Miss. And number three, some people are comparing him to bigger Tua Tagovailoa. And for those that remember what Tua did when he was in college, I mean, it was mesmerizing. Like we talk about the 2nd and 26 play, but we got to remember that in 2019, when Alabama and LSU met on the gridiron, that was viewed by some as the best game in terms of NFL talent that we have seen in over 2 decades. Like that's how loaded that roster was. And largely, Tua was a big reason why that team was once again in the running for a college football playoff bid. So it's like you got to give credit where credit's due in that standpoint. The thing that I look at is I like the roster in general. Logan Diggs, you already mentioned, but I also like Damian Taylor they brought in from Troy, had over 1,000 rushing yards last year. I think the offensive line is going to be pretty decent this season because at least there's some continuity. The secondary worries me, but sometimes, again, maybe a change of scenery is what's best for everybody on edge. And then also their schedule is manageable. Like you play a Washington State team that doesn't feature John Mateer. You face off against Tulane that is missing a lot of key pieces and probably downgraded at quarterback. You welcome in LSU to your backyard. You welcome in Florida to your backyard. You welcome in South Carolina to your backyard. So those are some matchups to where, yeah, they're going to get a signature win. But also, I just don't know what to make of the entirety of the roster in the fourth quarter and then the shooting of the foot if you're Lane Kiffin. But that's me underrating, again, a team that I believe has the quarterback that is going to be one of the best passes at the season's end. Like, there's people that come out with the quarterback rankings right now, and I'm always weird about this because I like to do going into the season what I think that they are, not what I think they're going to be at the end of the year. And I'm seeing some guys like put Austin Simmons at 8 or 9, or maybe just like the honorable mention on the outside looking in. That's not going to shock me, like, at all, if by the season's end, that's where he ranks. Because I think that he has everything that you want for a Lane Kiffin offense to be successful. And then the other thing, can we stop doubting Lane in one thing? Like, we can doubt him winning the big game. We can doubt him on being a college football playoff national championship caliber coach. But the man knows how to develop quarterbacks. He's done it when he was in college at USC. He did it when he was in the NFL. He did it at Alabama. He did it with Matt Corral. He did it with Jackson Dart. Like, if I'm Austin Simmons, the blessing or the feather in the cap that's like, hey, dude, I'm going to have a really good season. Who's calling my plays? Like that to me is just another thing to where it's like, yeah, Ole Miss, maybe you'll go 8-4. Maybe you'll be like that dark horse 9-3 team. But you got the quarterback, you got the coach speaking the same language. That's a win in my book.
Bear, I want to throw another one at you, underrated, before we move on to the overrated side. And we can throw a couple out here. When I say Texas A&M, what do you say? Is it fair to put an underrated? Because I talked about being jaded because of years past. I mean, that's the definition of me with A&M. I just refuse to give the crazy hype. But like, they are a case where if you took away like the stigma of what's happened with them over the last 2 decades or whatever.
Take away Texas A&M's logo.
Right. If you change the logo and change the name on the jersey and you just said, here's the roster, I'm like, that's a hella good roster. That's a team that should be talked about as, winning 10 games. That's A&M. So and I just spoiler out there, I'll be giving my game-by-game predictions over the next few weeks. I'm not picking A&M to go 10-2 there. I'm not doing it. I'm not picking them to go to the playoff. Like, just almost out of pure principle. But because of that, I don't know. I mean, maybe I think the underrated tag could apply right now.
For me, and you'll probably, and honestly, I'm going to tell you to clip this one up because A&M fans will appreciate this. But for me personally, Texas A&M is a lot like NHL coming to Houston. Like, the NHL, I think, would thrive in the Lone Star State outside of Dallas. And I think that there would be a tremendous rivalry in Houston and Dallas, that I-45 battle. And I think that there would be a fan base here that absolutely would cherish having a hockey team. But I've been burned so many times from people saying, it's coming to Houston, it's coming to Houston, it's coming to Houston, that I'm in I'll believe it when I see it mode. And that's Texas A&M for me. I'll believe it when I see it. Because on paper, I agree with you. This is one of the best rushing attacks. I think it is the best rushing attack in the SEC. I think that they have a potent secondary. I think that they have the most underappreciated player in the conference with Torian York as their starting linebacker. I think that they have some really good depth on the defensive line with Albert Regis. I think that they're going to have a solid offensive line. And honestly, I think Marcel Reed is going to be better than advertised. But it's perpetually 8-4 for a reason. And the reason is that Texas A&M does this every single year. So much like when it comes to NHL in Houston, when I look at the foreground, I see the logo of the team, I see the colors, I know that it's coming to Toyota Center, I will believe that NHL is coming to Houston. When I see Texas A&M going to Atlanta, making a run for the SEC championship, better yet, going into Austin with 1 loss or 2 losses and knowing if they win this game, they have punched their ticket to the playoff, I'll believe it. But right now, it's not an underrated team. It's not an overrated team. It's just habitually Texas 8-4 for a reason. So they're right there in the middle. I'm going to go with an underrated team real fast because I want to get your thoughts on this. I'm still buying stock in Tennessee. Like, I understand.
That was one I was going to bring up. Yeah.
It's one to where I think that, yes, we could easily say overrated as hell because of the way that some people are out there perpetuating them.
I will say this. I don't think I'd throw them in the over because I don't think they're catching a lot of love. Like, I think most people are selling the stock. Although I've seen some predictions out. I mean, I saw one yesterday that has Tennessee going 9-3, which I'm like, God, that feels aggressive. I mean, what's so tough about it is that I'm so down on Joey Aguilar. That's right. really what kills me. And like, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm allowing my thoughts on Joey Aguilar to cloud what the rest of this roster is, which is pretty good. The defense should be pretty darn good. I mean,
Boo Carter's back.
And I think it's because of the offseason Tennessee has had. So Boo Carter is back.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's a positive development. So I think it's because, like, for whatever reason, there was just this with the Nico thing and then the Boo Carter thing, even though he's returned, there was just like this negative feeling around Tennessee this offseason. So, I mean, that one's fair. I think underrated for Tennessee. Will they actually live up to that? Like, show that they were underrated? We'll see. But I think that's fair because, like, they get the vibe to me, like, I haven't seen them catching a lot of hype from people. You know, and like you look at like people's predicted order of finishes. I mean, I think I had them like 12th, 13th.
Adam 9th or 10th.
Yeah, like even that feels like you could be like, man, like they went to the playoff last year. They went to the playoff last year.
But like, okay, humor me on this. Do you remember when Jalen Hyatt won the Biletnikoff Award?
Yeah.
What happened the year before with him? Nothing.
He was not much of anything. Yeah.
Did nothing. Had the breakout year. Maybe that's Mike Matthews this season. Did nothing last year. Comes on in, infatuates everybody. He's
supposed to be a stud, man.
And he ends up.
I mean, all we did last year was complain how little they used him. I
mean, I still am going to complain because I think that he is a stud. What if Braylon Staley is that dude? Or what if you bring in Travis Smith, the freshman, and he ends up balling on out? Or Chris Brazzell is living up to expectations. Like the offensive line, David Sanders, we talked about him, #1 offensive tackle prospect. What if he is proven in camp and throughout all of spring practice? Dude, I'm a difference maker. Like, I am probably up to that Darnell Taylor level success. Like, you want me on your edge because of how much I'm going to protect your quarterback. Defensively, I get that they don't have Jamad McCoy right now, and I don't know when he's going to be back, but now that people are talking about the addition of Colton Hood, who came on in the spring portal from Colorado, had 2 really good games to close out the season. I think that for a depth standpoint, really good move. They lost the depth of their defensive line to the NFL draft, but they didn't lose talent. I mean, like, they still have a very talented roster as a whole. And then when they had Hendon Hooker as their starting quarterback, they ran a 3 running back tandem. It wasn't just, a Dylan Sampson or a Jabari Small at that time or a Jalen Wright. They made sure that every player got reps. And so you're talking about Star Thomas coming on in from Duke. You're talking about Deshaun Bishop. You're talking about Peyton Lewis, 2 guys that they were very high on last season that just couldn't break past Dylan Sampson. And that year they went to the college football. I mean, they went to the Orange Bowl and they went 10-2, and they would have been in a 12-team playoff in 2022 with Hendon Hooker as the quarterback. So, like, if you're asking me, Tennessee in general, do I think that they're a good enough team to be in every single game against Florida, against maybe Alabama, against Georgia, not knowing who their quarterback is? Yeah, I would 100% say that it's possible. Then you throw the quarterback into the mix, and that's where the conversation goes to, how much do I really believe in this roster? And much like you're saying, maybe you are 100% correct on Joey Aguilar just not being the right guy. Maybe you're an idiot who has no idea what he's talking about, and he's going to shut you the hell up and prove everybody in Rocky Top was right to say, piss off, Nico Iamaleava. We got your starting quarterback here. Like both things could absolutely be true. And we talked about Florida off air about them being the team that probably needs its quarterback the most to decide its season. Well, Joey Aguilar, people are writing his death certificate on how Tennessee football fell off in 2025. What if they were just calling it too early? I mean, like, that's very much a thing that I think is possible.
Well, and I think it'd be Josh Heupel shoving it up my rear end. I think this is a massive year for Heupel for proving his offensive prowess. You know, we say every year, like, we give him well-deserved props, but you had the big year with Hendon Hooker. I commend you for what you did with Joe Milton. You know, how much of it last season was Nico? How much of it was something else? I know there's been a lot of gripes from folks on Rocky Top about, you know, was it Alex Golesh? Like, was it not Josh Heupel? The offense hasn't been the same since Golesh left. Like, this year's going to test Josh Heupel's offensive prowess for sure. So, like, you know, if there's anybody that can get the most out of Joey Aguilar, it is Josh Heupel. Yeah, I could see Tennessee being an underrated team. I want to throw two at you real quick, Bear, from the standpoint, you said A&M kind of just is what they are. That's how I feel about Oklahoma and Auburn. I don't throw either label on these two teams. I don't. I am not going to go say Auburn's underrated. And I don't think they're overrated because they're not being picked to do much of anything by the media. And Oklahoma, kind of same thing. Like maybe you could throw the underrated tag on OU, but I don't know, man. I just, you know, I don't think you're unfairly not catching hype. I just think maybe John Mateer's a little bit underrated in the league, but like I don't think
you're who has him like at what, QB9, QB10.
I did have him pretty low. I think he'll finish higher than that for what it's worth. But I don't know, man. I'm kind of what you were saying with A&M. I'm very much wait and see with both. I know, and like, who knows? I might be, if I'm leaning one way or the other, one of those two teams is going to pop. I'm leaning Oklahoma because I mean, you and I are on the same page with Hugh Freeze. Just can't trust him for anything. But I'm still kind of like, I don't know that I'm ready to, like, you know, plant my flag and shout for the mountaintops how underrated Oklahoma is. It's like, I think we're all being fairly cautious with them.
So, okay, for Auburn, for me, now I'm going to say underrated in just the terms of I'm underrating them like I am because I don't believe in the coach. But like much like we say with Texas A&M.
I mean, nobody's picking them to do anything.
But like much like
not
Texas,
that I've seen.
But Texas A&M, take away the logo and take away the colors.
Yeah.
Just look at that.
You can fall in love with the roster really quickly.
It's very easy to fall in love with the Auburn's roster. But for me, it's take away their head coach. It's give me John Summerall as their
give
head
me
coach.
Gus Malzahn back on the plane.
Give me what's his name? Mark Stoops. Give me someone random that I believe has shown me success in the past. Or maybe you go with Brent Venables, even for that matter. I would at least say is in that same vicinity. Have my questions, but maybe I feel a little bit better because the defense. Like, that's where I'm at. It's the coach. It has nothing to do with the roster. Roster-wise, I actually think that I'm underselling Auburn this year. Because if you said they went 9-3, I'm not going to be shocked. I'm going to be shocked that Hugh Freeze and this roster went 9-3. But this roster, I wouldn't be shocked when it comes to that. Not even a little bit.
Hey, now you got to, whether it's Hugh Freeze's doing or somebody else, now you got to go win as an underdog at Baylor. How about that shit?
No, listen, I called it earlier in the year. I got on FanDuel when it was still in favor of Auburn. I took the points with Baylor. So that's why you need to go ahead and bet early. And when you do so, go to FanDuel.com/SECU. Shameless plug. Oklahoma, I think, is a little bit overrated. Now
overrated Oklahoma.
No, let me phrase this. The exact same way I said it with the fans for South Carolina, it's the media with Oklahoma. That's where I'm at. So
you are right. They're getting our buddy like Chris Doring. I know he's all over Oklahoma. There's some folks that are like the people that are in on Oklahoma. They are in. I mean, they are really in.
No, like it's like last season when you had Texas coming on in and people were like, "Oh, Arch Manning is going to start and he's going to lead into an undefeated." Like they were fully convinced that Arch was the dude who was going to take on over in the SEC. There was no hiding it. They weren't sugarcoating it. They were like, yep, this is my belief. You know which line of the sand I've crossed. That's Oklahoma this year with the media. Like from a fan perspective and from people who are looking at this, I think not even unbiasedly, but just like from a perspective of, hey, look at their schedule, look at their roster, look at what kind of questions that they have going into the year. We're all, I think, in the same agreement. 9-3 is probably the ceiling. Maybe 10-2 if they get one upset win, whether it be against LSU at the end of the year or in the Red River Shootout. Maybe 10-2. I don't think that we're putting it past them, but 9-3 feels like the ceiling. And probably a 6-6 season feels like the floor. Like, I think a majority of us say that's what Oklahoma is. But then you have the media folks who are higher up there saying, look at John Mateer and look at this offense and look at this roster and look at the wide receiver position and Deion Burke's fully healthy and what they brought in at tight end. It's like they still have questions on the offensive line. It was the worst offensive line in college football among Power 4 teams last year. And I don't know how much better it's going to be. It's going to be better, but I don't know what level we're at. And then again, I look at those first 5 games. It's like I could see easily win over Auburn, win over Michigan, win against Illinois State, win against your other 2 teams. And you're going 5-0 into the Red River Shootout. And then you win that game. And then you turn the corner and you're like, holy shit, we're only halfway done with this schedule made from hell. Still got to go to South Carolina. Still got to go to Tuscaloosa. Still got to play against LSU. Still got to play against freaking Missouri, who at this point may end up being something. Like, and then you're like, oh, well, they're 7-5 to finish the year. Like, that's Oklahoma right now. Like, we're not like we're looking at Red River. We're looking at Dallas. We're saying Cotton Bowl, Saturday afternoon, sweltering Texas heat. They get the win. And I think that we forget, hey, here comes part 2 of the schedule that nobody asked for. Nobody in the world of college football ever thought was going to be there. Like, sorry, that's where I'm at. Like, anything is possible. I like the team. I do. I like this roster a lot. But I don't see them in the college football playoff. I see them at 9-3. Like, that's where I see them. And I think that that's really, really good. But then we have the media folks who are, look out for them in Atlanta. Look out for them hosting a playoff game. And I'm like, okay, let's ease it on back. Let's see what John, because you know what the problem is? We've done this before with teams where we've overhyped the quarterback and we've overhyped the offseason and perpetually, hey, look, 7-5 is on the horizon. We've done this in the past, and that's where I'm at with Oklahoma. And I'm high on Oklahoma. Like, I think I had them the highest ranked of all of us. Like, I think I had them 6th. And that still is like, that's pushing it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I was asked at SEC Media Days if Oklahoma was a realistic playoff contender, and I was like, by Oklahoma media, I was like, I think that's a little aggressive, guys. Like that feels, if they do, great, but I don't know. I think it's a little bit early, a little bit premature. One final one bear for fun, underrated. What about the Doors, man? What about Diego Pavia? Come on, dude. Nobody's giving Vandy. Everybody's expecting Vandy to fall back to typical Vandy. Did you see the clip that I posted from our conversation with Will Byron with the Door Report, where he said that they lost 4 games by 1 possession? Like, I was kind of like fueling the Vandy college football playoff hype. That was very fun. That was fun to do.
Vandy to me again is going to be in that 7-5, 8-4 range, and it will not be.
Dude, if Vandy goes 8-4, they had an incredible season. Like that is, dude. You talk about a schedule from hell. All those upsets they pulled last year, they got to go on the road now, and like their road slate's crazy. It's more of a fun one. Do I think Vandy's like actually underrated? Probably not really, but it is just fun to talk about because Baba Yaga.
That's where we come to. Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga, dude. Like he's the man.
Is Kentucky underrated?
No, stop it.
Everyone in the comment section thinks that we hate Kentucky. And I'm like, guys,
stop it. No, I will not entertain that banter. I will not.
They're not underrated.
I will not do it.
They're not.
I will not. Okay, so we just spent a ton of time hyping up everyone, and yay. All right, let's crush some dreams, Bear. Overrated teams in the SEC. Texas A&M, come on down. Come on down.
You are putting Texas A&M in this conversation.
Well, if you almost like have to throw them in there a little bit. I do think you have to. People picking them to, and there's not many. Listen, A&M fans, I get it. There's not many, but one is too many at this point. You're picking them to go to the college football playoff. I've been burned. I'm jaded. I've been burned by A&M. I was someone who bought into the hype yearly. I just can't get there. Even though I like the roster, I just can't get there. You have to prove to me that you have cleansed yourself of this old 8-4, like this old 8-4 culture that just seems to follow you yearly. So like
you have to hear that an NHL team is coming to Houston. That's where you're at with this.
Well, like, dude, it's almost just like, again, I'm picking it. You like you're picking them to go 8-4 out of principle. I'm putting them in the overrated category out of principle at this point. Like really, truly. So I'm not saying overrated from the standpoint of like, I think they're going to go 2-10, but I'm saying overrated from like, if you think they're going to go to the playoff, then I think that's too aggressive. I really do. And I know you already spent a ton of time talking about A&M. The other one I want to throw at you that you've already talked about the roster and the team and talked about them being underrated. And again, think about the definition now. Again, when I say you're overrated, I'm not saying you're going to be a horrific football team. But based off what preseason expectation is, media expectation, where you've been picked, and where I think you probably really are, the South Carolina Gamecocks are overrated. They are. If you're putting them anywhere like near the top 10, if you're talking about them as like a playoff favorite, and again, I know the comments will be messy because I'm saying this. I'm not saying South Carolina is going 4-8. That's not what I'm saying. But like, they lost a lot. Yeah. A lot, especially on defense. You lost your top pass catcher. You lost your running back. Like, you don't know if Faison's going to be eligible, right? Like, you still have questions on the offensive line. Who's the other edge opposite of Dylan Stewart? You lost both linebackers. You lost your top guy in the secondary, Nicky Mawari. You do return talent. Don't get me wrong. Led by Lenoris Sellers, who you could argue is the best quarterback in the SEC. But Lenoris Sellers is first team all-conference preseason. You're picked to finish 5th by the media.
Hi, LM.
They feel overrated to me based off what they lost, based off what their schedule's like. And I guess I got to be honest with you, Bear. I got to be honest. And maybe I'm letting past history play too much into my school of thinking here. But South Carolina has never had any sort of sustained success outside of the Steve Spurrier years. Like, if you're picking South Carolina to the playoff, fine. I don't care. But understand the historical significance of what you're saying, Cole Thompson. Like, this is a program that's won 10 or more games in the history of its football program 4 times in over 100 years of playing football. They've won 9 or more games 8 times in their history. So, like, if you're like, for the people out there that are just assuming that like 9 wins is a given, 10 wins is a given, I would argue think again. I really would. So Lenoris Sellers is a great player. He cannot do it all on his own. I'm not saying they don't have some other pieces, but dude, they lost so much defensively, like so much. And I don't think that's being talked about enough. I think people are in love with the quarterback. They're not looking at the rest of the roster closely enough. So, and again, the preseason hype and the preseason expectations and where they've been tabbed, that's why I'd put them as overrated for me. It's because of all the other lofty expectations people are putting. They feel more to me like a 7-5 team.
In my opinion, it's not media overrating them, because I think that they can be in the
fans too. You're not wrong. I mean, people in Columbia are like, people think progress is linear, and it's not. And I know like a lot of these fan bases hate to hear that. Like, there's nothing more excruciating, Bear, for a fan base that's saying, yeah, you guys might be better this year, but finish with a worse record. It's like nails on a chalkboard.
Oh, it sucks.
But here's the thing. I don't think South Carolina's a better roster than last year. I know Sellers is a second-year quarterback, but like, I don't think the roster is as good as last year. I don't.
Like, for me, what it comes down to is I know what I'm rating them. And that is a team that can be single-handedly carried by its quarterback into every single matchup and maybe walk out with the win. That, to me, is what I believe South Carolina is in 2025. And that's a good thing. And I think that there are a lot of people out there who are like me that say maybe we will see a breakout wide receiver like Mazeo Bennett has 800 receiving yards, or we will see Michael Smith live up to expectations at the tight end role, or Dow Logans comes on in. He comes on in, he fixes this offense, he leaves for Appalachian State. You get Mike Shula, he ends up continuing that success. And while it's not the exact same, it's remnant to where, yeah, you're in a good position. But I'm also saying that this is a team that at its peak, I think is 9-3, maybe 10-2, and a dark horse for the college football playoff. And I got fans that are clamoring at me. I'm underselling them. Like, I have fans coming in my comment section saying, you just don't believe in us. You just don't think it's like, guys, I am one of the very few who is openly saying, if you make the playoff this year, it's not going to be shocking. You have a quarterback that can win the Heisman Trophy. You have 5 or 6 young, talented playmakers that all could hit their stride. You have you have defensive line play that I think is really solid. The transfer portal, like, I love the addition of Brandon Cisse, and I love the addition of Brownlow Dindy, and I love the addition of Justin Okoronkwo. And I'm like, those are culture fit guys that are going to work with Clayton White. And because of I'm here saying 9-3 feels like the real possibility for you, and I'm not saying you're 11-1, I'm underselling you.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's underselling you.
Listen, I got a lot of those same comments when I dropped best case, worst case, and I had their best case at 9-3.
And it's like
people were trying to tell me like 10 wins was a given. They could go 11-1. I'm like,
and that's
dude. Even people saying Lenora Sellers could win the Heisman, that just feels so aggressive to me.
I don't think it's aggressive, but I get
dude, based off like what you have to do as a team. I mean, sure, if he's Superman every week and they go 10-2, sure, but dude, I just, like, he's a really, really, really good quarterback, but I think we forget at times that, like, he still had some strides to make. There's no question. He had, I mean, the Illinois game happened, bro. Like, there's strides for Lenora Sellers to make. Like, we get, and I get it. We fall in love with it because, like, he just does things nobody else can do. I mean, the way he's just throwing defenders off like it's nothing against Mizzou and A&M and Clemson, like, that makes you fall in love. But, like, he's not a perfect player by any stretch. I mean, granted, again, he just needs help around him. That's the biggest thing.
Okay, but let me ask you this from this perspective. What if those throws that we saw, like the one in the Alabama game to Mazeo Bennett and the one to Nick Harbor and the pass that he had to Josh Simon against Texas A&M, they're not flashes. That's the consistent success. Like, that's the new norm for him. At that point, then I have very few doubts on Lenora Sellers. My question is, what is the supporting cast around you like on both sides of the football? Because, again, this defense I think is going to be good, but it's not going to be what it was last season. I think the running back room could have potential, but if you don't have Rasul Faison, you do not have a great lead back. I think the wide receiver room has talent, but they certainly don't have an it guy right now. So you add all this together and you're like, okay, 8-4, 9-3 feels like a very strong possibility if everything clicks. And again, South Carolina, who has not been known as this dominant force outside of a few years with Steve Spurrier, you'll take that because of it's constant growth. And maybe the NIL collector will throw a bucket load of money to the Lenora Sellers to stick around for one more season, and he'll run it back. And this year, you'll believe that they go to the playoff in 2026. But like right now, I'm saying that 9-3 is a good season. And I have fans in my comment section saying, you're an idiot. Go to hell. How dare you talk negatively about South Carolina? It's like, I am not coming out here and saying the things that I'm saying about a team that I'm about to call overrated, Arkansas. Because apparently Arkansas fans are also in this category of you're living in delusion a little bit. Listen, you have a quarterback that I believe in Taylon Green. And if you told me that Taylon Green had any help around him, I would consider you a dark horse to go 8-4. I really would. Because I am high on Taylon Green. Chris Phillips, like, I am 6 joints deep, ready for a second munchie run at Taco Bell on Taylon Green because it's by Petrino in year 2. Like, that's how I feel about him as a player. Name me 5 dudes around him who you know are going to hit. Any one of them. And then
name 3. I mean,
Okay, name 2.
Yeah.
Like guaranteed 2. Oh, by the way, every single year, whenever the SEC schedule comes out, I think that Hunter Urich sits in his office and is praying to football Jesus, please this year, please, for the first time ever, don't make us just the skid mark of the SEC. And then midnight rolls around and he gets the email popping up and he goes, why do you hate me? Like college football Jesus, what did I do to you to make you hate me so much? Because it is a terrible schedule. Because it's always a terrible schedule. Like, death taxes Arkansas having one of the most unlucky runs of stretch schedules in a college football season is expected. And it's like, oh, well, we may end up going 8-4. You'll be lucky to go 5-7. You'll be lucky to go 6-6. Oh, you're just not paying attention to this roster. I am paying attention to this roster, which is why I'm very shocked that Taylor Green saw this roster and said, yeah, I'll stick around for another season. Because you send him to most other teams. We're talking about Taylor Green as a potential quarterback taking his team to the college football playoff this year. Like, this is, again, one of the delusion fan base of, oh, you hate us. You think that we're an idiot. You always make fun of us with your backwards hat, you dummy. It's like, dude, I'm calling it as is. Like, I think Omega Blake could be a really fun. I think Braylon Russell could be really fun. I think that you could be a fun team. Fun does not mean college football playoff bound. Fun does not mean 8-4. Fun does not mean 7-5. Fun means that I'll pay attention to you. Like, that's about it. Be thankful that I'm paying attention to you. Oh, by the way, Arkansas fans, don't you want me not to be right about something? Hey, every single year you win a game that you shouldn't and you lose a game that you shouldn't. Last year you beat Tennessee, a top 5 team. You lost to Oklahoma State that would have gone 2-10. You lost to Oklahoma State, a Big 12 team that would have gone 2-10 if you just would have finished the job. You're going to do it again this year. You're going to beat Texas A&M, or you're going to beat LSU, or you're going to beat Ole Miss, and then you're going to lose to Memphis. Like that's what you do. And you're going to sit here and be like, yeah, but you're underselling us. No, I'm not. I'm not.
No, it's funny. It's funny. Those are your comments. Cause when I threw out the, who's the most overrated team, I had Arkansas fans commenting. They're like, definitely not us. We're definitely not in this conversation. So that's actually kind of funny. Yeah. Hogs are going to be interesting. I certainly wouldn't say they're overrated because they're being picked to finish 14th. So they're about rated just what people think. Another one I want to throw at you, Bear. I heard this one a lot at media days. Is Florida overrated? I mean, the whole Lagway thing definitely now, plays into this. But I heard a lot of people at media days saying they thought Florida was overrated. A lot, like more than I expected.
Here's where I'm at with Florida. Florida is the one team that is the most codependent on its quarterback health. That's where I'm at with Florida. They will live and die based off of the health of DJ Lagway. Now, again, I think their ceiling is 9-3 this year. I don't think it's 10-2. I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't think they're a perennial playoff team the way I feel about South Carolina, or maybe even could throw in Oklahoma. I think 9-3 is the ceiling because just their schedule is pure hell. But I also look at other quarterback rooms and I'm like, okay, they have something waiting in the wings just in case of anything. Like, let's say LSU loses Garrett Nussmeier. People forget that Michael Van Buren started multiple games last season at Mississippi State. And maybe that changes the pathway of them winning a national title, but you feel really good about him at least coming on in and stabilizing the roster for, say, 2 or 3 games. Harrison Bailey, how you feel about that? How do you feel about that, Chris Phillips, for the rest of the season?
Hey, there was a clip that came out yesterday. He made a hell of a throw in practice. Granted, it was on air, but
I say it was on air. So, great. Cool.
It was on air.
No pass rush in your face, but yeah, sure. I mean, right there, staring you down. Cool story. That's where I'm at with Florida. Because the rest of the roster, I think, is good enough to get you to that 9-3 record. You have the wide receiver room. I love Dallas Wilson. Like, I think Dallas Wilson is this year's Cam Coleman, Ryan Williams. I like the running back room. I think Jaden Baugh is about to pop. Like, if you do not know who number 13 is for the Gators, start knowing his name because you're going to be seeing a lot of him. I think the offensive line is really solid. Jake Slaughter, Austin Barber back. I think they have some really good talent on the defensive line. I like Pup Howard as your starting linebacker. Their schedule, the way it plays out, will, I'll think, have a good inclination of who Florida is outside of the quarterback position no later than week 5 when they play. Week 6 when they play against Texas A&M. But, again, doesn't matter about anything else besides quarterback. Because you may end up having a team that is built to upset LSU, built to upset Texas, built to upset Texas A&M, put belt to ass against Miami and Florida State, and then your quarterback's starting. It's like, okay, well, now we lose by 20. Like, that to me is where I'm at when it comes to Florida. They're overrated because of, I don't think that we're paying enough attention to who their starting quarterback is and the depth behind him, why he is so important to this team.
Yeah, and I like that Florida team a lot. I mean, you didn't even mention, Banks and Sapp on the defensive front. I mean, they got dudes, man. Like, Florida's for real got some dudes. But yeah, I mean, if Flag weighs less than 100%, that changes the whole outlook of their season for sure. I thought it was interesting. They were the team I thought more than any I heard people at media days claiming they felt like the Gators are really overrated, which again surprised me a little bit. Two top tier teams as we close this out, Bear. When you look at that top tier, and when I say top tier, I mean Texas, Alabama, Georgia, LSU. Are there any of those would you dare throw an overrated tag or like at risk of being overrated based off maybe their performance? Like, I mean, it's tough because those rosters are so talented. Like, I mean, you know, maybe you throw LSU. Could LSU be overrated? I mean, like maybe because of like we all kind of assume Garrett Nussmeier is the number one quarterback in the conference. Like maybe that's overrating him. Like honestly, like
well, let me ask you.
You
have to pick one of the four that you think is getting way too much media love going into the year. Who is it?
Honestly, if I have to pick one,
you have to pick one.
Tons of media love. Maybe it's Texas. Maybe Texas is overrated. Brand new quarterback that really hadn't done anything against a quality team, and we're talking about him. You know, he's the favorite to win the Heisman. By FanDuel, he's the favorite to win the Heisman. Legitimately. I say that the roster's so good. The roster's so good. I mean, they spent their money accordingly and they brought in talent accordingly. But they're getting the most love. They're getting the most hype. They're like the favorite to win the national championship by most people. Like they're the pick. They're people's pick to win the title. They're probably getting some love that should be going to Georgia, like I said earlier. So if I had to pick one, but I could make a case for Bama too. Those would be my two. Like I could make a case for Bama because they got a quarterback who ain't done nothing. I mean, Ty Simpson's thrown 37 passes. We're just assuming he's going to be, you know, a stud. And again, they got a really talented roster. I mean, listen, I love Bama this year. So, but just for the sake of the conversation, I'll go Texas, though. I'll say Texas. Again, for the sake of the conversation. This doesn't mean that I think they're – because my most overrated team in the conference is South Carolina. I'm sticking with that. But, yeah, Texas of the top tier is probably the one I'd say is getting too much hype.
LSU for me. And it's
fair.
not – no.
But before you go, I think it's interesting. Dude, LSU could end up being overrated or underrated in my opinion. Because, dude, if they can run the football, they can win it all. So that's what's crazy about them.
This is where I'm at. They're not overrated in terms of a playoff team. They're not. They're not overrated in terms of a team that I think can easily go to Atlanta this year. They're not. I'm not putting them in the national title conversation just yet. I'm not. And that's where I'm at.
There's people out there picking to do it.
That's where I'm at. I know there are people picking them to win the national title. I don't see them. And I got an argument last night about this. Like, South Carolina, that's a night game. Lenore Sellers, I get mobile quarterback. Dude, if it's a night game in Death Valley, just sit down and shut up. Like LSU.
Unless you're Alabama.
Yeah, LSU's not losing that game. Like they're not. If Alabama's not coming to town.
Dude, Florida's a night game too.
They're not losing that game because it's a night game in Death Valley. But like for me, you already brought this up. Can you run the football? Can you run the football? Can you stop the run? Because you weren't able to do that last year. And I'm not talking about mobile quarterbacks. I'm talking about just in general. You struggled with UCLA stopping the run. You struggled with USC stopping the run. So like those little things are going to be massive towards LSU making that jump. Your offensive line has 4 new starters from an offensive line last year that was good enough to win the Joe Moore Award, in my opinion, at times. Yeah, you have the starting quarterback, but you do have to wonder, did all the transfer portal additions at wide receiver come on in and hit? Do injuries start to stockpile on up? Are we only going to continue to hear about the upside of what Chris Hilton can be as a wide receiver or Nick Anderson can be as a wide receiver? What are we going to get from this defense with all the new pieces added on in via the portal? Are they going to be revamped from last year? And the Clemson game is not going to determine everything. Like there's people who are like, oh, I'm going to know everything about LSU after the Clemson game. No, you're not. You're going to know more probably about Clemson than you are LSU in my humble opinion. But like there are people that say, even with all these questions, going to win the Natty. I'm not there yet. And so from the overrated standpoint in terms of national championship buzz, it's easily LSU. Now, again, from those 4, the one that would shock me the most to win the Natty would be LSU. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm not saying that they are not a playoff team. So I want to make sure that I'm not getting the words twisted and that I'm going to be thrown onto out of context college football. It's like, nope, Cole Thompson thinks that this team sucks. No, I don't. I don't think that right now they're good enough to win the national championship. And those who are putting them there are overrating them.
They have the lowest floor of the top 4.
Yes. 9-3, I think, was their floor this year. Far and away.
Dude,
I don't see them being worse than 9-3.
I mean, dude, I think at a worst they could go 8-4. Worst case.
I think their floor is 9-3. I do. I can see them losing a game they shouldn't. I can see them winning a game that they shouldn't. I can see them beating Alabama. I can see them beating Clemson.
If they can't run the football and Garrett Nussmeier continues to turn it over, they could go 8-4. I think it's aggressive, but they did it last year.
I know, but
if they go 8-4 again,
he's not fired.
Brian Kelly's on borrowed time. That's for damn sure.
I personally think their defense is going to be better this year.
And again, I'm not saying they're going 8-4, but
no. But the reason why I'm saying
under year 2 of Blake Baker, I believe so as well. Guys, would love to hear your thoughts. Anyone else we missed, Bear, that you would?
Yeah,
I feel like we pretty much hit them all. I mean, I think
Mississippi State totally overrated. Picked to finish last. Overrated.
Definitely, yeah,
it's the worst.
Super overrated. I think we hit them all. Guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Overrated, underrated. Who is your most overrated and underrated team in the SEC entering kickoff? Guys, we're going to keep it moving. We got a lot to get into. A fall camp. Some interesting news and notes coming out. Before we do that, I want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. Because as always, we are brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook here to help you make every moment more. The app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. If you already have an account, FanDuel Sportsbook offers great promotions every day to all users with things like Profit Boost tokens, new features like Parlay Hub, build your own same-game parlay, or choose from one of the popular SGPs already made for you in the Parlay Hub. If you haven't signed up yet, go to FanDuel.com/SECU to learn more. That's FanDuel.com/SECU. Get into the action with offers you won't want to miss. Guys, again, you can play literally anything and everything, every sport you can think of. Obviously, the NFL preseason gets going tonight, like our guy Bear said. Hammer the Chargers plus 1.5. But again, all the NFL action will be there. They've got all, obviously, the preseason win totals and props and what have you. Week 1 lines are already out for both NFL and college football. College basketball will be here before you know it. MLB's in full swing. NHL, NBA. Heck, you can bet on fight night. Anything you can bet on, FanDuel has got it. So, again, make sure you sign up. FanDuel.com/SECU to get that $250 deposit bonus when you sign up, when you win your first $5 bet. Again, FanDuel.com/SECU to get your $250 deposit bonus today. Bear, that being said, let's talk some fall camp, man. It was great to see some football on the timeline in regards to players on the field, pigskin flying through the air. I want to start with this. And I asked somebody else this yesterday. I want to get your thoughts, though. Who is the more ridiculous person when it comes to fall camp?
Oh, God.
The person who says, hey, it's fall camp. It literally means nothing. Who cares? Or the person on the other extreme that takes everything that happens at fall camp as like fact. Like, for example, we can talk about this. Was told yesterday that apparently – they were talking about Ty Simpson threw 2 interceptions at fall camp yesterday. And like some Bama media guy posted a video of it, and Bama football told him to take it down. But like, how ridiculous is the guy? Like, oh, Ty Simpson threw 2 picks at practice. He sucks. He's just going to suck. Or the guy writing off fall camp is like literally the most meaningless thing ever. Who, in your opinion, is the more ridiculous person?
Both are evil. Both are just disgustingly evil on so many different levels. But the guy that takes everything to heart is the more of the evil.
I would agree with that.
Sorry, it is. Because like you're really going to define a person and what the season outlook is going to be off of a couple of throws in practice. Number one, you're going up against air 90% of the time. Number two, you don't know the entirety of the story. What if the wide receiver missed the route? And because of that, that led to the interception. So you don't have that information, and we don't have the coach coming out afterwards and saying, on that play, X, Y, and Z happened. Therefore, this was the outcome. And then the third thing for me is that we still haven't seen them in full-on pads. It's such an early stage of...
Haven't even put pads on yet.
Yeah, it's such an early stage in camp they're going through install at this point. Like they're just trying to master certain plays and designs and concepts to where when pads come on and when you have to start worrying a little bit about, hey, pressuring on the left side, what do I do in this situation? That's a big deal. So the guy that's going out and saying, hey, man, don't look now. Alabama's defense, cooking. They're cooking against air. Yeah, I kind of hope that they are. Like, I'd be a little freaking annoyed if you weren't seeing a couple of interceptions on this play and the offense that usually takes a week or two in advance to get going is kicking your ass. I'd be a little concerned at that point. But then on the flip side, the guy that doesn't take it seriously, I mean, what do you want me to say? I'm sorry. There are things that are very, very, very influential on the season outlook. Now, I'm not taking it. I'm taking everything with a grain of salt on either spectrum. He throws an interception. Okay, well, 2 plays later, he threw a 40-yard touchdown. So let's meet in the middle. One bad play, one good play. How does he respond in the regular season? But the guy that is making such a big deal or over-antithesis this goes, I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what, dude. Don't look now. Don't look now.
Well, because for every positive your team has in fall camp, there is a negative on the other side of it. So, like,
but they're both evil. But like what I'm saying is they're both so evil because then you also have, I'll tell you what, dude. Because again, tone matters in this. I'll tell you what, man. Bama, quarterback going to the Heisman Trophy presentation. I'll tell you what, man. Alabama, they ain't got a quarterback. I mean, that like it's all just based off of tone and how you are. Yeah. And you're
the guy who takes it way over the top seriously and everything that happens in fall camp is fact is worse for sure.
Far worse.
Because again, it's like you want fall camp to be as 50-50 as possible. Like you want both sides of the ball to experience some success. You do. You don't just, if you're Bama, you don't just want to hear, God, Ty Simpson is just lighting us up all fall. Like what's going on in the secondary? Or you don't want to hear the inverse. Just, you want both sides to flash and have success and like it's work for everyone. You know what I mean? And hell, the defense should have success. They know the calls. They essentially know what you're doing. Like, they see you every day.
Yeah.
So like, anyway, yeah, I think it's a fun convo. I think the guy that over the top takes it way too seriously. And if you're Hugh Freeze, you really want your quarterback to have success because you're essentially catering to him. The other thing, by the way, we learned yesterday, Cole, was size matters.
Yeah.
We did learn that size matters.
Immunity, but sure. Yeah. Size does matter.
Size does matter. Because Hugh Freeze yesterday said, and I quote, "You need length and girth in this league. Length matters," end quote. So
by the time that we get done with this season, maybe depending on where Hugh Freeze is in his coaching status, I may have the top 10 out of context thing of the Hugh Freeze tenure at Auburn. Like I
kind of want that quote on a shirt or something. Like that's hilarious.
It's fantastic.
You need length and girth in this league.
Here's the thing.
Listen, you want to know a guy with length and girth? Our guy Bear over here.
I'm muting. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. No, okay, that is a perfect like. And here's the thing: Hugh Freeze dropped a bar. Like that was awesome. It's like, yeah, dude. Everyone gets what you're saying, man. Everyone understands exactly. This is SEC football, and I'm like, Hugh. Just throw a phrasing in there, and then guess what? You got this good. It's like Archer. Like everyone got phrasing. Throw that out there. We're fine. But then you said the next thing, and this is where it's like, God.
Yeah. So let's get to this. The Jackson Arnold comments. Our guy Mike Gittins, the War Report, does a fantastic job. Comes from his Twitter. He says, asked about telling DJ Durkin to quote take it easy end quote on Jackson Arnold during the spring and summer. Freeze says, and I quote, "The number one priority of practice is for the quarterback to leave the practice field confident," end quote. So essentially confirming that they are taking it easy on the quarterback. I think I understand what Hugh's trying to say. Like, I get it. You do want your quarterback to be confident and like, You don't just want your defense picking on him, but you are also doing a disservice to him by like, you think defenses in the SEC are going to quote unquote take it easy on him? Like, I think I had a buddy make a really good point. Like, if you're not going through the real fire in practice, how are you going to be ready to go through the real fire in the game? Like, how is your timing going to be right where it needs to be? How is your, like, the best way to overcome adversity is deal with adversity. Like, face adversity.
Yeah.
You have to continue to face it. Like, Again, I know where Hugh was trying to go with this, but it's another example. he just says some outrageous shit sometimes. Like, he really does. Like, I just, and again, maybe we're making too much of this comment, but yeah, to come out and essentially to say, yeah, man, we're just trying to, man, we really need to build his confidence up. Like, how mentally fragile is Jackson Arnold? Like, where is he mentally? Yeah. Like, that, does the kid really need that? That's crazy.
Like, for me, where I come to is, you have a really good defense for Auburn. Like, I don't think enough people are paying attention to what DJ Durkin's building this upcoming year, because I really like this unit as a whole.
They'll be good on defense again, man.
They definitely have some dudes who are going to be all SEC potential. Keldrick Falk being one. I think Kerryon Crawford's going to be a really good player. Jay Crawford on the back end. Kalen Lee, like, I'm very high on what he is going to be as maybe an all SEC cornerback. So yeah, I mean, you're going to have a tough defense that is giving Jackson Arnold fits. But, like, I cover the Houston Texans down in Houston. And, like, for me, the thing that I always wonder when people are like, oh, look at CJ Stroud making these terrible throws or being a little bit unorthodox. I'm like, guys, he's going up against 2 top 10 pass rushers every single play. Like, the offensive line is not going to be seeing Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson every other snap. Like, they're getting better because of they are going up against a top 5 defense in practice. And if I'm Jackson Arnold, I want that competition. In fact, in my opinion, I think I need that competition because I kind of lost my edge last season when I was benched for Michael Hawkins in a game that really was maybe a little bit my fault, but there were way other things that went wrong for Oklahoma's offensive personnel that definitely soured in that loss. And then I didn't come back in. I had to burn my eligibility, and I got blown out. I was coming in for the South Carolina game that was already over before the end of the first quarter, and then I had to come in and get my ass whooped by Missouri. I had to get my ass whooped by LSU. Like, I want to build up my confidence, but by doing that, I want to see that I'm getting success against a really solid defense. But that's not on Jackson Arnold. Jackson Arnold can only do what he is told to do, and that's his responsibility. And hopefully he looks good in it. It's Hugh Freeze's responsibility to say, make it challenging on this kid. Or better yet, here's the way that I look at this. If you don't think that this is going to be good publicity for you, just take it to the grave. Like, honestly, just die with this. Don't say anything, because guess what? You look like a freaking genius if Jackson Arnold comes on out and it's week 4 and you're facing off against Oklahoma and he's throwing for 325 yards, and then you just go out to the public and go, yeah, we pushed him in practice this week. Like you don't let them know this stuff. Like, they're blindsided. Or if he ends up having a bad game, no one's gonna be like, oh, well, they took it easy of him in practice, so therefore we knew that this was going to pander on into what was going to be the regular season. Like, that's on you, Hugh. Just let it die. Don't admit things like this ever, because there's never going to be a winning formula when it comes to this situation.
Yeah, and I'm not sitting here telling Hugh Freeze how to coach football. He's crapped out more football than I will ever know.
Sure.
But I had a coach when I played baseball. I had a coach, Bear, that told me, you make the practices hell so that the game is easy. That's what you make the practice hell.
Yeah.
So that when you get in between the lines and the lights cut on, that's the fun part. That's the easy part. You're not doing Jackson Arnold any favors by making practice easy, because guess what's going to happen? The game's going to be hard. The shit that actually matters is going to be difficult. Like, wouldn't you rather put him to the fire and essentially, expose his weaknesses, and that way you know what they are and you can work on them and you can adjust. And again, I'm not telling Hugh Freeze how to coach football. I'm not. But I don't care what the sport is. You make practice hell so the games are easy. When you do the inverse, you ain't going to like the outcome. So does it really matter? We'll see. What's really telling, Bear, and I thought it was really interesting, maybe the most interesting of all, Bear, Deuce Knight is QB2 right now.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Like, that is really, really, and there's a lot of hype around that kid. I tell you, we're talking about Jackson Arnold. Because could we see a situation where he's replaced for the second straight year? I mean,
yeah, there is.
Do you feel like, let me ask you this, do you feel like kind of like a Billy Napier thing? Would that be like, and you don't wish for injury and how that happened, but like, is there a scenario where Hugh Freeze kind of, that's like his ace in the hole, where he's like, hey, like, I need a spark to, because here's the thing. If you go 6-6, people are going to be upset, right?
Yeah.
But if you go 6-6 and Deuce Knight played the second half of the year and he showed flashes and like there's a lot of hope around him, you probably ride it out another year with you, right?
If they know that Deuce Knight is leaving if Hugh Freeze leaves, then yeah, I think.
Well, and I think there will probably though be an assumption that's the case. I mean, typically, if the head coach is going to leave, unless something else is stated behind closed doors. But like, yeah, I mean, right. I just think like we saw it with DJ Lagway and with Billy Napier. I mean, that young quarterback comes in and like the quarterback's kind of tied to the coach, and it gives you hope for the future. And it's like, all right, let's keep this thing together a little bit longer just to see how it plays out.
They would have to get an upset win, though, because the other thing that really kind of helped out was, hey, not only is DJ Lagway showing that he can be the guy, but
yeah, I mean, you need to win a few games. But if you're able to win a few, like I said, if Deuce Knight were to come in, I think it's interesting. Like he's not that far off, apparently. So.
Yeah, but like, okay, put it this way, from this perspective, Jackson Arnold plays to close out the year against Arkansas, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Mercer, Alabama. Those are the last 5 games. You feel like that Jackson Arnold probably could win those games, or at least be a factor in why you win those games. Is that really moving the needle with what you had with a Deuce Knight calling the shots? Like, I would be more intrigued to see, and I brought this up on the takeaways for training camp notes going into practice. What is the role of Deuce Knight? Because when you have a talent like that, again, it's like having a Lamborghini in the middle of a farmyard. It's got to fly. Like, you got to let it get on the highway because if it does no good. That type of talent, he's got to be involved in the game plan some way. Is there a point at one level in the season, like maybe it's mid-October, and you're facing off against Georgia or Missouri, and you start seeing more play designs that take Jackson Arnold out of the huddle and Deuce Knight into the huddle. And that ends up being the reason why the games are close, to where then we have the conversation, are we benching you at this point? That's where it comes down to me with Deuce Knight. Because I think that he is going to have a role in this offense. I think he is going to certainly be utilized in the rushing game in some capacity, whether it be in the red zone or on fourth down execution. Maybe a lot like Arch Manning was in the fourth down play in the Cotton Bowl last year. So like, there's certain ways that he is going to be utilized. I just got to know, is that going to be more as we progress throughout the regular season? But it's not going to shock me. I mean, I thought it was clear after camp that Deuce Knight was going to be QB2. How does he continue to progress? Does he see any reps with the first team? Just because we got to get him acclimated in case of anything. Those would be things that I'm really interested in. But for me, when it comes to Hugh, bottom line, dude, if you know it's going to get bad publicity, just shut your mouth. Like, or lie. I mean, hell, you lied so bad you got fired by Ole Miss. Like, you know how to lie. Like, it's very much in your DNA. Just do that. Like, honestly. Somebody asks you, hey, are you taking it easy on Jackson Arnold in practice? No, Jackson looks the part of QB1. He's going to win the Heisman Trophy this year because of our defense is elite. Say that. Like anything. That's a way to boost up morale and positivity. Not coddling and coaching your quarterback into feeling like that he's special and that everything is going to be this way for him. And that defense is, when he walks in to do the handshake, hey, guys, my coach took it easy on me in practice this week. Do you mind doing me a little salad? Here's $50. Have a nice day. Let's go play some clean football. Like, is that what you expect?
Not inspiring comments for those who are buying into the Auburn hype heading into the year. Bears, we wrap it up. Other notes, I mean, Blake Baker did hit like maybe the nastiest juke move of the 2025 season. And the comments and the jokes that came from that were pretty funny. I'm not going to lie.
It's this, like, okay, this is where my wet blanket of I'm going to be the fan that doesn't give a shit, like, kind of feel about this. I don't care. Like,
I don't either. It's just funny, Morton. It's just funny. The juke move was filthy, though. That's the thing. Filthy.
And then the dance into the end zone was funny.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny.
But like, LSU fans who are coming in the comments being like, "Oh my God, like, our defense sucks again."
Dude, I saw a guy comment. This is why players are, dropping the ball before they cross the goal line. It's because they've got a coach teaching it, because Blake Baker tried to put it behind his back. And I'm like, dude, he's the defensive coordinator. Like he's not. And I'm like, bro, you're taking this that literally? Like, come on, dude. Like,
what are we doing?
They're screwing around. Like,
but like that's kind of it for me too. Like, also, do we know who the player was? What if it was a freshman that was?
I don't even know who it was.
Reps? It's like,
I ain't got a clue who it was.
Oh, yeah. It's not Jack Piper, and the guy that we're paying $450,000 to be an edge rusher, missing his defense coordinator. So like, it's blown out of proportion. Speaking of which, and this is what we can close the show out on. Blake Baker's old team just made a move. They just extended the guy to replace Blake Baker. Corey Batoon, 3-year extension on the brand new contract that was revised for Eli Drinkwitz. So the money that, remember, he got a brand new deal. He was given some money for the program. Part of that money is going towards keeping this Mizzou defense intact for another season.
Wow. Well deserved.
I like it. I really do.
Very well
I thought
deserved.
Missouri's defense was one of the more underrated units in college football last year.
Yeah.
It did not get enough national attention.
Yeah, they were good. They were really good. Last thing, Bear, before we get out of here, I do want to ask you this. This is just something for some reason, this is catching a lot of buzz. And I guess it's probably because it's about to drop here shortly. Really quickly, your thoughts on preseason polls, AP Top 25, USA Today Coaches Poll. Love or hate the preseason polls? Would you keep them? Would you get rid of them? I'll start. I have no issue with them. People love to just complain about stuff, but are they meaningless? Sure, whatever. But you want less things to talk about?
Yeah.
Like, don't you think we're going to do some sort of reaction video or talk about the AP Top 25 when it drops? Like, it gives us more reason to talk about the sport. So I'm all for the Top 25 polls. Like, now I think you could question some of the people that vote on them, no doubt.
Yeah.
But the overall premise, I don't hate it. I mean, I wouldn't. There's some people that are like, we shouldn't have polls to like week 4 of the season. And I'm like, I get what you're saying, but why do you hate fun? Let's just have fun.
It's dumb that people actually think that we care so much about a poll deciding our thoughts. No, I love it. Because you want to know why? Because here's the thing. Number one, there's always going to be a team that we are way overhyping that never meets expectations.
Isn't it like every year there's a
top 10 team is not ranked at the season's end?
Yeah. I don't know how many years in a row that's been, but
5 or 6 now, I think it is.
I think it might be more than that. Like it happens all the time. So yeah.
No, I love it. It's good banter. It allows us to kind of build a foreground on what our expectations are for teams, because of this is what the voters' expectations are for teams. And we kind of get a good gauge on what to know going into the season about a program's identity. And they're going to be tested really early on. So like a perfect example would be, hey, Baylor versus Auburn week 1. And let's say Baylor and Auburn both are ranked, and one's 21 and one's 23. And Auburn wins the game. They were ranked number 23. How much are they going to catapult up because of that signature win? And the other thing is, will that win continue to look better in time because Baylor ends up running through the rest of the Big 12, and they're in Arlington? Or is Auburn going to lose that game? Baylor wins. Baylor ends up having a decent season, but because of Auburn didn't hold up its end of the bargain and they went 5-7, well, when it's time to go to the college football playoff rankings, yeah, that preseason win, it really was just a preseason game that didn't, it was really just a preseason poll that didn't matter because of look at where Auburn is now compared to where they were weeks ago. So, like, that's what I care for. It's conversation. It's banter. You're going to have fan bases upset and up in arms about it. But the other thing is that nobody out here is saying this is what truly defines the sport every year. No, it's just let's have a little bit of fun. Like, let's enjoy seeing how people overreact to Texas A&M being number 11, or people saying that Illinois is going to be underappreciated at number 16. Or God forbid that we left off Nebraska and they are the first in to miss the cut this year after not having any success for the last decade. Like, I'm for that stuff because it gives you banter. It gives you dialogue. It gives you content. And that's what we do. We love it. Like, I'm all for, cannot wait to overreact to seeing which SEC team is ranked number 11 and which SEC team is ranked number 2. Like, I'm so excited for it. Because it gives me stuff to talk about. It gives us stuff to thrive off of. And it means we're so much closer to not having to listen to people like you and I talk about this. Just put it on the field and see it in action. That's what the preseason poll is for me. That's what it is. It's the last sign. It's like the last night of sleep before Christmas morning, week 1 rolls around and we have college football.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people that are like, yeah, I just wish we could skip the next month and get to kick off. And I'm like, I hear what you're saying, but we got a lot of content planned, so I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that.
We got a lot of content to get out between now and then, so including that. I love it. Bear, what else I love is doing this show with you, my friend. Always a pleasure. Again, guys, make sure you're staying tuned to us. We are pumping out content like it's content bleeding out the eyeballs. Really, truly, team previews are firing off. We got different segments that are happening right now. All going to culminate. Guys, we're not that far off. Bear, you know this. We're not that far off from – we're going to be starting to drop game previews and predictions here really, really soon for week 1. This is obviously the closing of the chapter of the month of July, final overtime drive of the month of July, which means next time we talk to you, it'll be August. There's college football in August.
We're less than 30 days, dude. We are less than 30 days. We're in the month of college football. We are 28 days from the start of SEC football. We are 22 days to week 0. 22 days from college football.
Yeah, 22 days to week 0. It's crazy. We are really that close. Pretty wild. So anyways, guys, really appreciate you all tuning in. As always, we ask you make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, check us out via podcast. If you get your podcast, you can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For Cole Thompson, I'm Chris Phillips. This is the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered SEC Football Show, the best SEC football show on the internet. Y'all have a great weekend. We'll talk to you all on Monday. Cheers.